I really just want to. You guys know what I want to do with it.
So that's the hard part now, right? You have to wait for the beer.
I know.
The wait.
The wait.
We have to wait.
So speaking of which, when is the wait going to be over for anybody listening to this podcast?
That was a world-class segue right there.
I know. It's like I've done this before.
You've done this before. Well, okay, so we...
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoppy Craftsmen. I am Chris. Today we are at the Shop Beer Company doing our brew finally. Everybody's really excited for this. Let's go quickly around and introduce yourselves and who you are, what you do.
My name's Christian. I just came on with the shop as an assistant brewer.
Awesome.
David Arntz, owner here at the shop.
Jordan Guyman, I work for Quicken Loans.
And you are one of the winners of the contest?
One of the winners, yeah.
Excellent.
We're going to talk about where we work.
You don't have to.
Okay, good.
do it
Sina
out there.
Gomez, I'm one of the winners. And an amazing Patreon supporter. One of the most awesome people in the world.
That is
Good
correct.
job, Sina.
That's correct.
Good job, Sina.
I'm a freeloader, I guess, right?
Correct. If you'll know Ed at this point, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a veteran of this podcast, so I'm Eddie.
Very
once
cool.
again.
So today we brewed.
The silent partner.
Silent but deadly force in the room.
that was missing last time, but technically he's here in spirit.
No, he's here in body, but he lost his voice because he's totally sick. And I mean sick, like there's nothing wrong with him. He's just super sick, bro.
It's like a pH sick. So,
But Jason Calhoun, head brewer for the shop, is here too.
thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks. So, brew day today. How Bill and Jason maybe how do we do today? How did we do? Was it actually we had some little bit of, not to say trouble, but we had some things we actually had to accomplish, right? Or overcome technically.
And I think so. Just to kind of rewind real quick, this is a really fun and interesting challenge to try to do what we did today, which was sit around a room and come up with some basic ideas about a collaboration project happening in real time on the internet with anyone who wants to participate. So unlike other projects where you're working with only professional brewers, you're dealing with a whole strata of informed, super informed, mildly informed, sort of entry level, preferences, and which is super fun, right? It's really cool to have just ultimately beer is kind of like, well, I just want to drink what I want to drink. I don't have to be, you don't have to be like pro brewers don't enjoy beer more because you know more about beer. You enjoy it because you enjoy it,
Right.
And so I think it's really fun to have had that much input from people that have all sort of varying levels of experience in the world of drinking beer and professional beer or whatever. So on this one, we did 3 rounds of sort of entries where we picked the beer, we picked the style, we named the beer all live, and like took the suggestions in real time where everyone can validate it. Everyone can look online and see the Facebook post or say the Instagram things and look at the votes and tally them themselves. And so we just went with what everyone. So the fun challenge on our side was to try to make that come to life. And I'd say with very, very few minor tweaks, we did exactly what we set out to do. And, we'll get to drink the beer here in a couple of weeks and see if we actually pulled it off. But something that we've never done before is design around those kind of constraints, because the beer that we brewed today, if had it just been us doing our own thing, we probably would have made, tweaks here, tweaks there. And it just, not that it would have been better, it just would have been different,
right.
Just because we're doing our best to involve everyone's preferences, So today what we did was, I think, outstanding. It's the biggest mash we've ever had, period, in the history of the business.
2,100 pounds of grain. Right?
Wow.
A lot.
And then on a 20-barrel system, I mean, we have an oversized mash tun for that, for this purpose, but we put it to the test today. So I would say, you mentioned how did it go? I mean, I think we all experienced that where, it was what time are we sitting here? it's just 5:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday, and we got here at, I don't know, the sun was barely up this morning, and we got one batch of beer in what amounted to basically 11 hours.
Right.
And we didn't get a stuck mash or anything like that, but whoa, my God, there was just so much going on. Everything was slowed down. So,
well, and you guys are saying that you usually would normally split that up, right? You wouldn't do that much in one kind of one batch. You'd actually do kind of two.
Yeah, if we currently have an oversized mash tun to do big beers. That's what we kind of set out to do when we designed this system. We definitely took it to the red zone. The needle was wavering in the red zone on this one. But I think overall everything went really cool, really great. The challenge we experienced was dealing with that much grain. Like I said, we didn't get a stuck mash, but it was a whisper away, and we were having Jason did a phenomenal job of babying it. Of course, the poor guy's got like the head cold, and he's trying to come in here and smile through the whole thing through, 6 cups of coffee later, he's like making it through the
definitely the superhero of the show.
Totally the superhero. But he's having to baby it the whole day because equipment, what most of us probably didn't realize while we were going through the day was the amount of technical adjustments Jason was having to make like in real time to keep the thing flowing, trying to keep us from a stuck mash, which he was able to do successfully. But it's really just kind of his experience behind the brew house that like was able to manage that in such a way where he could anticipate, where he's like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Can you feel that shaking? And I'm like, I can't feel anything. I'm like, I got new inserts in my shoes, soft soles. They're athletic. They're like the super athletes one.
Very nice.
So
Yeah, you're an athlete.
And there's some gel in there, and I couldn't feel any vibration. And he's like, dude, you feel that? And I'm like, dude, I can't feel anything.
He was gelling.
I was gelling.
So for people that don't know what a stuck mash and why that would be a huge issue, like, can you kind of explain what would that be? Like, why would we have it? That'd be even more of an issue if we actually got a stuck mash.
Well, okay, so great question. So designing around a constraint, right? So the strangers on the internet, and I let's say that with love and respect, decided that we ought to do a triple IPA milkshake, like lactose beer, toasted coconut, pineapple, and vanilla. It was basically our design constraints. So we're trying to get to, a 10.5% beer. So to achieve that in something that's drinkable, we're trying to thicken up the body. We're trying to make it feel creamy. We're making it feel vanilla. We're making it feel like all these, and we're trying to do a huge quantity of it.
Right.
And so what that means is, in order to achieve some of the body and some of the things that we did, we used 3 different types of oats in the grains. And so when you use that much oats, like the quantity that we used, like the oats create kind of a gum, a very sticky, congealing,
like a paste, kind of a.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it just creates this like gelatinous consistency that if you don't offset that with a certain amount of water or other grains or rice hulls, it's going to kind of create this cement layer.
Okay. Which, when inside the mat, is not going to let water go through it, or so basically you're kind of figure out how to break it up without actually getting other things that you don't want really in the beer, right?
Yeah. So from a technical brewing standpoint, we get grains wet, then we transfer that liquid over and we boil it, and we add hops, and then we transfer it again to a whirlpool and let it rest, and then we put it in a fermenter and pitch yeast, and then it makes beer. During that first step of the process, getting grains wet, that's when we run this risk of creating accidentally an environment where there's just no circulation, there's just no movement. You end up with this big giant thing of Play-Doh kind of, and it just doesn't work. And so if that happens and there's kind of a tipping point where you can work around it and you can baby it and you can get circulation happening, you get movement, you can draw off the liquid off the grains. If that doesn't happen, if you pull too hard, you turn your pumps up, you can create an environment where you just insinuate it gets stuck. So long story short, it was teetering on the edge of disaster the entire time.
So would that have ruined the whole brew day if we had a stuck mash, or would it just be like it just make it a lot longer?
It's very likely that if that had happened, we would have dumped the batch and started again tomorrow, or not started again until we reordered material.
Okay. So yeah, catastrophe.
So that would have been catastrophic. But like I say, Jason kept feeling vibrations in his feet. Maybe he just needs to get new inserts.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I don't know. Take my shoes off next time.
Yeah, there you go.
Barefoot.
Go.
Yeah.
I hear that's the best for when you're brewing beer. Just not
Soccer
wearing
in the
shoes.
grass in the park, and brewing beer. Shoes off.
Shoes off. That's the way to do it. So this is kind of for our winners here. I actually want to say, so kind of the idea behind this too was to help kind of have people learn kind of like the brewing process and how collabs actually happen. What's something that you guys actually learned today that you didn't know, or what was your experience? And maybe talk about a little bit about your homebrewing experience or beer experience in general about brewing a beer. And then something maybe you learned today.
Yeah, I mean, so I've homebrewed here and there with some other family members, and brewed 5 times. Been brewing the last 8 months. We go by Stony Mountain Brewing on Instagram.
Okay.
And then from there, just seeing the automation part of it and seeing like large scale brewing, that's something that I've never experienced. So it was great to see that. Dave and Jason, great. And the collaboration was a lot of fun. Christian, always knowledgeable.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I have 0 home brewing experience. I've helped Eddie out sometimes, and usually it's just cleaning and sanitizing the equipment. What did I learn? God, I learned so much today. I know I asked way too many questions. I was constantly, what does this do? What does this do? What happens if this happens? My favorite part was just the brewing system and how automated it is and the story behind it, how you guys built it yourself. Like, I was just blown away. I'm still blown away. Like, I can't believe that you got that delivered and you didn't have anybody from the company, come out and build it for you.
Right.
You put it all together yourself. It's insane.
Yeah. How long did that take you guys to put it together, Dave?
That was a scary couple of weeks. Yeah. But they sent a brochure. It's kind of like IKEA, where there's like a little picture of a brewer and a wrench. It's like, hey, this goes here. But the instructions are pretty loose. But it's like a lot of things. When you zoom way out and you look at a thing like out the window here, we're sitting up on a second story, looking out in an office, looking out over the tops of all the tanks in the brew house and everything. If you look at it from that perspective and you see it all in one shot, it looks really, really complicated. But it's like breaking down anything that you do. You just, look for fitting 1, and that goes to 2, and hip bone's connected to the knee bone. And so it's just
The
like
tri-clamp.
you just go through things one at a time, and then you do that over an extended period of time, and you look up one day and you go, oh, wow, I really accomplished a whole bunch of stuff. And in this example, it's metaphoric, and that's a brew house, and that's the brew systems and everything else. But in my mind, what's the most technical is the stuff that you probably aren't paying attention to. I mean, we have terrific help and experts that come alongside us and help us with heating and cooling systems and all the utilities and all the stuff that you don't see is far more, engineering of all that stuff is far more complicated. And it's the fun when you get to know about those aspects of how a brewery works. It's really involved, it's really complicated, and it's super awesome when it all works. And that's where the real feel good. So, it's like designing beers and, visual, the art component, and it's just like that becomes kind of a body of work. It becomes your life's work when you get the privilege of being able to put your all into something day after day after day after day. You get to share that with other people, and after a while you look up and go, oh wow, okay, hey, I got a pile of something going on over here. That feels really, really good. And so it's fun, like on a day like today, to be able to share that with you guys, and then having genuinely created something together.
Right.
And that's totally different than what we would have done by ourselves. I'm not totally different, but like we all had certain weight to pull at different times. And then the greatest expression of all that's going to be when the actually beer's ready and we're out enjoying it. Then then it goes out into the hands of others. And so we share that story and we share that fun. And that's when the whole full circle of beer becomes complete, right? So we put a bunch into it. Chris, you designing the art for the cans. We're so excited to see that little piece of collateral come out.
I was
because
so pumped when you guys were like, we're doing cans. I was like, yes.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, by the way, I have something to look at here. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like right out of the gate, it's just the coolest piece.
No, thank you.
So we're just thrilled to be able to facilitate your creativity in that form. That's what your weight to pull, and we come together on a recipe and Jason with execution and all of us kind of lending a hand at a certain time. And then when you share it with someone that you love, then you're like, dude, this is the maximum amount of fun I can have with a beer in my hand. For real.
I understand.
When you hand that can to somebody else, having done it, and sweated on it and bled. I mean, no, there was no blood in
No
the
blood.
making.
No blood.
There's no blood. It's very sanitary.
Anybody listening to this right now? There's no blood.
Or tears.
There's probably some maybe
Maybe a
tears.
little tear. They're sanitary saline.
Yeah. It's all right.
But I can't think of. I mean, I love sharing beer with other people, right? Stories and beer and coffee from time to time.
Yeah.
These are super fun things to share. And so when you've put that much energy into it and you did it in a group setting, and then you share that product, I don't know if it gets much more fun than that. To sit down and hand it across the bar to somebody, when it's someone that you know, someone you like, some family member, some whatever, and you go, my name is on this, literally.
Right.
My name is on this.
and they will be on it, right? I mean, that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Our names, the people that actually brewed the beer, will be on that can.
I guess that's what I'm most excited for.
to be able to point your name. Yeah. It's gonna. Yeah, it'll be awesome. I think it'll be really fun when we see that when the cans get filled and we actually have them in hand, and then other people start actually social media will actually have the cans and people check them in on Untapped, and you're like, I made that. I was part of this. It just gives you a little bit more of a sense of kind of pride of actually being part of it, which is really cool.
When it becomes physical, when
Yes.
it's manifest, right? When it's when the thing is on the table in front of you, it's a whole different ball of wax. Right, because we all sit around, we swap stories with our buddies, and it's the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and it's like we all have a story to tell, but it's so simple, but it's so profound when there's something manifest in front of you on the bar, looking at you and looking back. Somehow, some way, that thing means so much more.
Right, it's
When
that tangible.
It's literally, it's a physical thing in front of you. You go, I had a hand in this. It's such a joy.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to do it with you guys.
I can't wait for that.
Right.
And I think just canning it too takes it one step further. It's like another area of expression. Talking about the can art too. I just when I saw the cans, it just looks like a pineapple.
Right. That was I was doing a bunch of different things, and I had an idea for maybe a geometric pineapple just itself, and then I was like, no, what if I did the whole can as just a pineapple and the kind of a geometric thing? And I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And the funniest thing is so I was at home by myself, and I was sitting in my office in the dark, designing the can, and my wife comes home and she's like, what are you doing in here? And I was like, nothing. And I'm designing stuff. And she was like, of course, other people's husbands would be doing something completely different in the dark. You're just designing a can. I was like,
And you were probably fully clothed.
yeah. Well,
That's cool.
it was my house. I do whatever I want. That's just how it works. However I'm comfortable in my house.
Cans, partially dressed.
If it makes you feel better, I was closed. However you want to picture it.
Hey, it's your house, man. You can do it.
So I guess the other question would be: is there something that you guys Is there something that you wanted to actually ask them now that we're actually not on the floor? Something that you saw and wanted to know more about, kind of during the brew process.
I don't know. I asked so many questions today.
No, I mean, from having a little bit of experience home brewing, just seeing it on a bigger scale was cool to see. And then I was asking tons of questions to Dave and Jason just about their equipment and their process and watching it. So it's just cool to see it on a larger scale.
Sure.
Well, so Jordan, at one point in the day, we kind of sat down and you'd explained having home brewed a handful of times before, something less than a dozen.
Yep.
And so in that experience, you'd said most of those grains, or maybe all of them, were all grain brews.
Yeah.
And so at one point I said, are you able to connect your home grain process, meaning water prep and treatment, then grain mashing in, right, through to boil, to hop additions, to rest, to knock down, to pitching yeast. So I was saying to you, I'm like, are you able to connect your home process with what we did here? Because the hope is that you can see that in its just larger scale.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think?
Well, after you asked me, I started thinking about it more and more and more. And the more I thought about it and just seeing everything go through, it all clicked and made sense. It really did.
It's kind of funny how that works in beer, because that's why I think the homebrew thing is so cool, because there's no restriction to ingredients. In fact, a lot of times, because you're buying in small quantities, you pay more per ounce, but you're buying a lot less. Right. You can get the cutting edge, newest, greatest stuff.
Right.
But due to quantity, it's sometimes restricted to bigger places.
Yeah.
But the steps are always the same. And so I feel that's really cool with homebrewing is there's no barrier between being like, hey, I want to get into beer at home and I want to enjoy this, and then being professional.
Right.
It's not like it's not like you're held back. There's a curtain or anything that's keeping you from, the Wizard of Oz sort of thing.
Yeah.
But so it's cool that you're able to come and, having had that experience, come into a bigger place and be like, oh, hey, all the pieces fit. I kind of get how this works.
I feel like I now have a better understanding of how the process is, seeing it on a bigger scale. Because, I mean, whenever Eddie brews, I just saw bits and pieces, or I would read about it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so difficult. Like, I just want to bake a whoopie pie, Like, maybe you're so
Don't
difficult.
we all want to bake a whoopie pie? I don't know what that is,
But seeing it on such a large scale, I was like, hey, I think this is something I could do, because I finally got, okay, there's this part of the process, and what is the intention of it? And then we moved to this, and what is the intention? What are we doing right here? Because I was constantly, okay, what are we doing right here?
Right.
So,
but that's totally okay. Like you said, if someone that doesn't have homebrew knowledge, it's good to kind of be able to know what's going on. Like, kind of go, okay, well, this is where we're at now, and this is where we're going to the final point.
it was like
to
a
glass
live
from
documentary
right.
that totally spoke to me.
Good job, Cena.
Good job.
In her defense, my brew days aren't very.
They're chaotic.
Yeah, exactly. It's organized chaos when I brew. So
Just run around yelling obscenities.
Yeah,
looking
things
for
are on
things.
fire. Things are boiling. Things are.
What's the clothing level like?
It,
If it's my house, they're pretty low.
It deteriorates.
Mild to quite mild.
Yeah, even on brew day, casual, super cash. You don't have to wear shoes, Dave, if you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, touche.
Yeah, it's great.
But I think that's the biggest credit to these guys is like, I don't know about anybody else, but I never felt like I was in the way, even though I probably was. And when I felt like I was in the way, they were actually kind enough to like explain what they were doing. Like, oh, hey, you're kind of looking over my shoulder. Here's what I'm doing. Which was really cool because it's like, you could easily see where people would get flustered, like with the whole mash thing and the pump not working and it not going right from that point. And it's like, no, here's what I'm doing. I have to manually maintain this now. Usually, he was talking, it was like, usually I'd set the pump and I'd go have lunch or I'd go
Right.
do this. And he's like, no, I have to babysit it now, which is what has to be done. So, and just explaining like the yeast and like the whirlpool and how everything flows, and even just the heat exchanger. That was fascinating, like to see how that gets recycled. But I mean, I don't know how many breweries you guys have been to, but there's not a lot of room to have 4 or 5 people standing around learning. So it's big credit to these guys that take the time to be like, no, here's what I'm doing, and explain it and clarify it, and it makes brewing a lot more fun.
Yeah, I think we all felt really welcome.
Wow.
Is a big thing. And then there was a part, I think it's when we were putting the dextrose in, where Jason said, okay, now when we do this, we need to do it fast. We need to do it this way. He completely explained it, cut open all the bags, did everything. And then everybody got a chance to be a part of that. And even though
I wasn't part of that. Thanks, guys.
That was my choice.
I felt like I was in the way, so I just stepped out of the way.
But he knew that, the guys wanted to do something. And, you just explained, well, this is a crucial part, so we can't be slow about it.
Don't fuck it up, Cena. Just dump it in. Don't drop the bag. That was the most important thing I
Good
heard.
job, Cena.
Yeah.
It was a
Hold on
very
to the
good
bag.
job.
Hold on to the bag.
I didn't
Drop the bag
I
in the
didn't do
brew.
anything like that. Just did the little bucket. I did a good job too.
So does understanding how the brew process works, does it make you appreciate other craft beer you've had in the past?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like just being here, you can appreciate it more. Like getting that education. I talked to Dave a little bit about like education and college and stuff. Like this is intangible. This is something that you can't get elsewhere unless you have a brewery that's willing to let you come in and see their process and get that. And excuse me, I really appreciated it. Just coming in, hanging out, being able to see everything through it was a great experience.
Nice. Good stuff, guys. Well, do we? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's the thing. It's like with all this technology and all this automation, like there is still that hand-on experience that like when something's not quite right or something has to be done, or even like putting the stuff in the tank, like okay, now they're shouting because here comes the water, here comes the beer, turn off the water, switch the valves. It's like that stuff that, and especially like changing, like when they're changing on the fly, okay, we can't do this on the next batch, and like those little things that they're changing on the fly that you can't do with automation, like that's the awesome part. Like there's still that little hand touch that has to be there no matter how much technology you put into this.
Right. Is there something, so speaking of like kind of automation and stuff, is there something that we did today in this process that if somebody was actually a home brewer that they couldn't actually do? So if we literally put the recipe out there for home brewers, was there something that, how would they be able to have to change the recipe or do something differently to achieve what we've done today? Or they're pretty much just the same?
I don't think there's anything that we did today procedural that we couldn't that couldn't be done by a home brewer with what I'd consider a reasonable amount of entry level equipment.
Okay.
There's no. This is the thing I love about beer and brewing, right? Is people, it's really technique driven. So when you asked the question earlier about like, what did you learn? Does it make you understand or respect craft beer more? I think that there's layers there of how to appreciate and enjoy other things that other people are creating, right? So when somebody's brand new, startup, and they're working out a new system, or they're new, because there's a lot of new brewing activity happening, which I love seeing. I mean, we don't get a lot of free time around here, but whenever we do, it's like we go out into other breweries. I mean, that's what we enjoy. We have friends, and we love go checking things out. When someone's new, or someone's getting familiar with new equipment, whatever else, you kind of go into it with a little bit of an understanding that like, okay, where's this person at? What are they trying to achieve? And where's their win? Like, and I want to like cheer on someone I'm going to find their win, and I want to cheer that on. And then it's like people get a little more seasoned, and then they go on and they try new recipes. They're trying to invent a new style. They're taking a risk, and you go out there and you celebrate that. It's like, hey, you take a bunch of risks. Cool. Every once in a while you hit, and every once in a while you make something that doesn't hit.
Right.
I mean, that's just if you're not trying, if you're playing it safe all the time, well, that's not a win.
Yeah,
I think it's fun. It's like, hey, roll the dice, see what happens, and celebrate the wins that work, So when we go in here and you see how much goes into it, and you see how much care and whatever else, when you understand another brewery, breweries are total conduits for personality, and I've always experienced that. So you can go into somebody's tap room and you can get an atmosphere of how the whole company runs from top to bottom just by being in the tap room. And so when you go into a place and you kind of resonate with what they're trying to do and how much work they're putting in and whatever else, I think it makes it more fun to cheer on the folks that have their hands in it, because they're putting everything they got into it. You know what I mean? It's like we put it in, I don't know, what, an 11-hour day today.
Right.
And we just got through one brew. We planned on doing 2. So, I mean, we routinely have days that are 13 to 15 hours, and because that's what it requires to get the day done. So when you know that much soul is going into the products, it's something really tangible that you can be a part of, because like what we do doesn't exist if people don't show up and enjoy it in the tap room. And there's so many other breweries that are exactly the same way. And so that's what makes us a fan of the other people that are doing what we do, because we know how hard they're working. And so for the folks that are doing that and they're putting in that much energy, it's like, man, I just want to cheer them on.
Right.
And then that's how I have my favorite. Like for me personally, that's where my favorites come from. When I have an understanding of like the hands that are doing it, and when it's like, hey, come rain or shine, I know that you're in there grinding, and that makes me a fan of your product. I want to wear your T-shirt with pride, or whatever it is. Drink from your glass, or the logoed glassware, whatever that little piece of tchotchke is to support their label and their effort.
Very cool. Well, let's take a small break, get some refills, and we'll come back and maybe talk about some more details of when maybe this beer's coming out, and then put you guys maybe through a very light rapid round, which is not very rapid. So, all right, guys, we're back.
Take a photograph.
Yes.
It's like when you take a video or a photograph and then you post it to your other Instagram for like one of your animals. It's like that.
Is it
Seriously, is this
is
how this is going to go now?
And is photograph
Nope,
still
nope.
the right nomenclature? I mean, we're not in the 1800s anymore.
It's a pic.
Photograph.
It's a photograph. It's a
Picture.
GIF? A GIF.
A GIF.
I
A
don't.
pic.
It's a
Oh, there's a
GIF.
file. It's a JPEG.
There's the real conversation. Is it GIF or GIF?
GIF
I say
okay.
GIF. Yeah.
because it's a graphic interface format, and so I don't say graphics or graphics or how you want to say. Yeah, it's
Giraffics.
yeah. I say graphics, not
Giraffics.
giraffics.
Giraffe.
Which is
Now that's a funny name for a beer.
yeah. There you go.
Traffic.
Free of charge.
Giraffesaurus Rex.
Yeah.
That's how this works. All right, guys, we're back. Everybody watching the live video is like, you guys just came back a minute ago. It's really weird, but we're back again. So it's all good.
Because we don't know where the record button is.
You know, it's one of those really hard things to find out on the
Big
laptop.
rectangle button
Yeah.
in the center of the keyboard.
It was red. It's cool. It's hiding. So Ed brought something during the break that is actually pretty important. What things that you guys actually, what were the things that you guys actually chose or wanted to see in the beer for the contest that actually didn't make it, or vice versa?
Okay, I picked for the second time.
No, Cena. This is audio. We can basically nobody knows that we actually did a second time, except for the live
Except
people.
now.
All the live people know.
Yeah, now everybody
But
knows.
now everybody knows, Cena. Thanks.
We didn't do this part last time.
Good luck getting this out.
It's Inception.
I picked. What did I pick? Lemon, vanilla, and lactose. That was my idea that I wanted.
But
Well,
last time you said that we kiboshed the lemon.
Yes, you did. You kiboshed the lemon. You were like, lemon fucking sucks.
I mean, if you
Lemon doesn't suck. All the lemon people out there, we love lemons. We're a lemon
I
friendly
was
show.
eating
We're-
lemon
yeah.
cookies when I
Lemon tolerant.
when I was on Instagram. I think I submitted it on Instagram, and
I would
I was
hope.
just like, oh, cookies. I want a beer with lemon cookies.
if you're eating a burrito at the time, would you submitted a burrito?
Yeah, it would have
Okay.
been like,
Mexican
chorizo,
lager.
egg,
Yeah.
potato.
Like those delicious burritos we had this morning.
Yes.
So thank you.
They
Yeah,
were
thank
so
you for bringing that back
Let's not
around.
forget that.
Thank you for the
Give
burritos.
Los Favs to thank for that.
Yes.
No, I was looking more at like a gingerbread beer, like something gingerbread flavored, something gingery, seasonal. We started this whole thing sometime around Christmas, so I just thought that, and then I like triple IPAs. You can't go wrong,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
can.
It's like we just talked about that.
Yeah,
Can
I
go
know.
wrong. Dave, do you think you can go wrong with a triple IPA?
I believe that it's possible to go wrong.
But not ours. Ours will be fine.
It's not possible to go wrong with this one.
No, this
Yeah.
one's gonna be delicious.
Well,
But-
when we were doing all those suggestions and all the things that came up, there were so many really cool ideas that were in there, and I think, like we were joking about the kibosh and the lemon, but actually that lemon, the lemon concept, like the lactose vanilla, the whole thing, would probably make it fantastic shake. But I think when we looked at all the other suggestions, that the thing that really grabbed us and wouldn't let go was the toasted coconut.
Yeah.
And so we started thinking that through, and we're like, we've experienced that, and we've used that in dark beers like porter stouts, that kind of thing. And but it felt really unexpected to try to put that in a pail and do that like milkshake style. And so I think we're all, in Phoenix anyway, we're all kind of experiencing the milkshake thing for maybe the first time. And some of the stuff we have access to, that style seems to be rapidly expanding. And so there's so much room to sort of explore in that space. So it's really fun to try something that other people are doing in other parts of the world that we've either heard about or read about, or we've got, a few of us have gotten to try a few, and we've had a few like limited experiences, but to take and imagine what that might be like for us and then try to craft something and then execute it and everything else is a really fun challenge, number one. But like, we just kind of fell in love with a couple of key ingredients and then tried to work backwards from there. So,
Well, and it's like you said, like when we first got here, you asked us, name some of the milkshake IPAs that you've ever had, right? And it's like, maybe I can count all of them on one hand at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a ton, and so that's also one of those things that was really cool. Is like it's definitely an idea that hasn't been really explored, I think, in the Valley a lot, and that's something that was kind of appealing to it as well. So.
well, it really kind of struck a chord with me was body, playing and altering the like pushing the body, the thickness, the boldness, the mouthfeel to the furthest extreme we can do and still call it beer. It's not a beer milk, it's not like a real malt shake, kind of thing. It's not chunky out of the tap. So we're pulling out all the stops to try to create something that really has a satisfying, crisp, but yet, clean, sweet, full mouthfeel kind of, product.
Well, as you said earlier too, is like, it's one of those, you're trying to imitate cream in a beer without actually putting cream in a beer, which is kind of a trick on its own to be able to do that. And it's a really good point. I mean, having milkshake IPAs, you drink it and you're like, this is really crazy that this actually is that creamy, but it's a beer still. There's not cream in it. Right, there's no milk in it. That's awesome. So you guys love like I said, that idea of making that kind of beer in the valley. So I'm excited about it. I'm super pumped.
I am so excited. I really just want to. You guys know what I want to do with it.
So that's the hard part now, right? You have to wait for the beer.
I know.
The wait.
The wait.
We have to wait.
So speaking of which, when is the wait going to be over for anybody listening to this podcast?
That was a world-class segue right there.
I know. It's like I've done this before.
You've done this before. Well, okay, so we're in the first week of March here. It's looking like we're going to can this thing probably the last week of March, and then the event that we're really excited about, and our expectation to showcase this there, is our 5-year anniversary. I can't hardly believe it's been 5 years.
Right. That's awesome. Congratulations.
But thank you. It's really exciting to do it. So we're going to throw one hell of a party. We've got a whole day of bands coming. We're going to shut down the parking lot. Basically, it's going to be block party style. But bands all day, extra food coming in. We got a whole bunch of fun and games. Kind of, it'll be a day in the sun. I mean, the weather's going to be just spot on perfect, and so we'll have a series of fun beers. A bunch of people that we've done projects with in the past are sending us fun special kegs, and so we're just thrilled with doing that. So we're just kind of doing a celebration of all the things that we love, and one of the crown jewels of the whole that's going to be a project like this. We get to share it with everybody.
Very cool. So no need to get tickets online or anything. You literally just show up, get yourself an Uber, get a Lyft, get down here.
$10 at the door.
Okay.
We're basically just trying to pay for the bands.
Okay.
And we got cheap, it's gonna be like happy hour pricing all, for the whole event.
You said what time does it start?
So that one's gonna be from like 3 to 10, Saturday, March 31st.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's gonna be our 5-year anniversary party.
Very, very cool. So kind of like you said, tents out in the parking lot. Are there gonna be other breweries coming too, or is this gonna be you guys?
Yeah.
Or?
So so different than like what other people do, where sometimes they have their festival gear. They have 10 by 10 sort of, benches and tents and everything else. And what we're trying to do is invite our friends and also happen to be brewers and brewery employees and bartenders and everybody. And we're trying to say, hey, no, don't come and volunteer and work. Come and just hang out.
Okay.
So we're gonna staff the event. We're really just wanting to throw a party with all of our friends.
Gotcha.
So we're kind of opening that up in a broader sense to just enjoy it. But we're pulling out all the stops on the entertainment value. So like it's the kind of party we wanted to throw for ourselves.
Okay. Right. There you go.
And we hope everybody comes and enjoys it because it's gonna be wacky.
Well, it's literally a giant meet and greet, right? But for anybody that wants to come and just pay $10 to get in the door and for those bands and stuff, but just come hang out and be able to kind of get a little bit glimpse of what you guys got today. Like ask some questions if that's something you want to know about or are excited about. You can literally, if you see them in there, you can be like, hey, what's going on?
The point of the whole thing is just a kind of a celebration of not going bankrupt.
Right.
We should just it's still in celebration of not being broke.
Yes. I'm sure Christian's really excited to hear that. That's
job security.
Job security, yeah.
One more month.
Yeah,
After this party, I don't know.
It's awesome.
But so I mean that's kind of the thing is we love kind of sharing what we do and how we do it. So part of coming is like that's why we're here and kind of what we're doing. So if people are interested in beer and brewing, it's like, dude, tap us on the shoulder and drink a beer.
Right. Very true. I mean, I think that's one thing I've learned by doing this podcast with everybody. Like, craft beer people are actually the best people. They really are. Like, every brewery we talk to, every place that we've actually gone to, like Wandering Tortoise or like bottle shops, people are the nicest people. They're very inclusive. They really want to like explain stuff to you and inform you what's going on. And so it's cool to kind of get a a feeling and actually go around and actually understand and meet those people. I mean, we like earlier today, we literally went down to you guys' tap room and Tap and Bottle. They were down there. Then Rebecca and Scott were down there, and they were like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And we met them like once in Tucson. So it's really nice that they it was like, "Oh, you guys actually remember who we are. That's really cool." So great people, those guys. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and what a treat we had Jay Romerger from
from
Hops on Birch and Flagstaff. And I mean, what a treat. I mean,
that's super cool that he
really
come
cool
down.
guy.
yeah, I mean, came down, hopped in on the brew. I mean, he's done some home brewing. I mean, he runs Hops on Birch up there and buys all the beer, and he's just a beer fan, And so you get a guy like that who's got a tremendous beer knowledge, from just being a fan and then working at professionally buying and that sort of thing, and then also home brews. I mean, he's doing it really as a passion project. So, I mean, it just speaks to kind of like a really cool community of friends, that people that love the same thing and have so much in common. It's like, yeah, let's get together and just brew some dang beer,
So to be honest, when I first walked in, I thought you guys hired another person to come kind of help with some of the work, like some of the grunt work kind of stuff. and then I realized that it was
Jay
like, oh, okay, no, that's not. But he was in there. He was like.
Yeah, right. He just
Lifting
seemed like
bags, he was no problem doing any of that stuff. And was
no, he just
like,
seems like he like runs the joint.
He's in the
Like I asked
trenches
him
with
permission
us.
to go to the bathroom a couple times. Like, am I good to go? Am I
okay, all right.
Is
Well,
it's over here?
Let's not forget how built he is. This dude,
Oh, yeah,
he's
he
like
could
55,
Rip anyone's
60.
arm off.
Yeah.
And beat you with it.
He was tossing those bags there with no problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's a fit guy for sure.
Very good stuff. Well, you guys want to get into the rapid round, not so rapid round?
Sure.
All right. Dave, you want to set out? Because you've already done it. You don't have to do it again. You can do it again if you'd like, but.
Now I'm nervous to answer.
All right.
Do it.
I want in.
Okay. All right.
I didn't get all dressed up for nothing. I have my shoes and my clothes on. I want in on rapid round.
I'll sit out.
All right,
This
thanks.
is my third time doing it.
People go back and listen to your old episodes, Ed, and just make sure that you're still telling the truth. I do, at least. I don't know
For
if
the
anybody else
record,
does.
I've never been telling the truth.
It changes every
I've
time.
never always been telling.
So if anybody's listening to this episode, go back and listen to the last shop episode where we actually did it and see if Dave actually says the same things.
I've never always been telling.
All right, All right, so Christian, we'll start with you, and then everybody kind of goes around. So what was your gateway beer, the beer that got you actually into craft beer?
Oh, the beer that got me into
That's the most
craft beer.
podcasty question of all podcast questions. So
I would say the very first beer. So let me start by saying I grew up on the East Coast. I lived in Connecticut, and I was about an hour from Treehouse Brewing Company, which I don't know how many people around here know about Treehouse, but
is it there? Are they a brewery there, or
yeah.
do they make any
Brewery
beers?
in the
or-
Treehouse.
Well,
I
anyways,
know Treehouse.
yeah.
I know
So
Treehouse at least.
yeah, well, for your listeners, they're just a tremendously successful hoppy brewery, and so the first time I tried their beer, prior to that, I had things like Bud Light or Budweiser, just like standard beers, but having something of that quality. And still to this day, I don't really know how they made that beer, how they make beers like Julius or Green and stuff. But I set out that point on to like figure out how to brew the best hoppy beers I could make, and it kind of opened the doors for me.
Very cool. That's awesome. And then that's one of the reasons why you started brewing too, or
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Dave,
for
look at
me,
you.
Okay, so this is real, always never. George Killian's Irish Red was my gateway beer, and then I always loved the malty caramel like amber red ales. The whole thing. That's really got me out of the gate.
yeah.
And then it was Kilt Lifter, Four Peaks.
Okay.
So that was my go-to for the sort of the early years. And I went to ASU, so
It's right there.
I mean, they are the iconic Tempe original kind of thing. I think at that time the only brewery really. I mean, but anyway, Kilt Lifter was my gateway.
All right.
Yeah. So like Christian, I grew up drinking like Bud Light, Budweiser. I'm from South Dakota. Like not a whole lot of craft beer going on out there. It's better now since I've left.
Say, yeah.
Is it because you left?
Yeah, turn left. We're waiting.
All these breweries cropped up.
Really,
Finally.
I've been out here for a little over 2 years now, going on, I guess, 2.5 years. Kilt Lifter was probably what got me into it. And then from there, coming to the shop and just like seeing or tasting everything they had to offer, really just kind of that further made me want to get into it, taste more, go out to other places and have all these different varieties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Cena, looking at you.
Okay, so I'm really going
Cracking another
to
beer.
Date myself now, but
Is that an expensive date or a cheap?
it's a very expensive date, very long date. So when I started drinking in the 90s in Seattle, I would
Hey, you know how
feel-
you date yourself? You actually give the date.
Yes, exactly.
That's kind of.
You know, it was the whole not only the craft brew scene was exploding there and grunge and everything else, and I was drinking not even beer. I didn't like beer. I was drinking like what all young women drink, margaritas and Long Island iced teas and really fluffy drinks. And we would go to these bars and my friends would be like, no, you got to try this. 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 So the first thing I actually tried was the Pyramid Hefeweizen because it came with a lemon slice. And I was
Oh,
like,
Hey.
oh, this
Noticing
beer
a
comes
trend
with,
here.
I know. This beer comes with fruit. It must be good. So that's what got me into it. Was really Pyramid Hefeweizen was the first one I fell in love with, and then just Hefeweizens in general. And then I kind of broke away from drinking beer for a long time. I focused on wines for quite some time, and then Ed and I took a trip up to Portland. I don't know how many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and he like flipped his shit over all the beer up there.
As you should.
Yeah, and then we came back
played.
here,
Well
and I
played.
was like, oh my gosh, there's so much great beer in Arizona. So I would say that I, like a Christian, I got reborn.
Oh, damn.
And it is McFate that really got me back into the craft brew scene. But why am I drawing blank? Because I'm thinking of Wilderness's Baba Cavari, but what's the one that I like at McFate? Oh my God, toast. Oh my God, toast. Every time we go there. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did. No, thank you. That's perfect.
I'm still thinking about you dating yourself.
Yeah, I know. But
This was like a long time ago.
You could laugh at your own jokes.
I know.
I always know what I want for dinner.
Good job, Cena.
Good job.
It's like the eye candy of the lemon. That was like the thing that drew you to. It was like, oh, look at that. There's a lemon. This is fancy. Let's drink this.
That's exactly how it was.
Let me ask you, do you like sours?
No,
Really?
no. It's the one beer that I constantly try because, like IPAs, I didn't like them for a long time. And it was funny because every time Ed would order an IPA, he's like, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it. And, you know, I was like, you never know. One day I might like it. And now I fucking love IPAs. Like,
Yes.
that I just zone in on them and I love them.
So what happened there when you're trying those things? Were you were willing to try like you take a sip of like everything Ed orders?
I'll go to this one. So we'd both order flights, and I would end up with 7 beers because she'd order 3 IPAs. She'd taste them and be like, I don't like this. Here, you drink it. So I basically doubled up my flights, and then one day, like, the switch just flipped, and she's like, oh, I like this one. I remember the first IPA she liked, but then she started tasting them more, and then she started trying to drink a full pint of them. And then, like, one day she's just like, oh, this is an IPA? Like, she was ordering stuff that she liked or thought she might like, and then all of a sudden, oh, this is an IPA? And now she'll drink Fatality like nobody's business. She'll order that one specifically. And it's like, that
Yeah,
one
that's
blows
an
your
awesome beer,
taste
though.
buds out.
That's
It's
right.
like-
Yeah.
That's an easy one to like.
Yeah.
So well done, but- Well, no, that's really cool because it's funny that you say all that because I really gravitated to like ambers, reds, all that stuff early on, like Shark Bite Red from Pizza Port. That sort of stuff. I used to live out there in California, but I didn't like IPAs for the longest time, and it was that same thing of like that's why I'm curious why what made you start to like them because I would go and I'd do flights and I would drink my own flight. I could choke down a couple ounces of anything,
Yeah.
beer wise, and so
Thank you for
I would-
qualifying that. I was really waiting.
I would try. I would just try. I would try whatever's out there, and I was really like trying like a sip of it. And I didn't like sours. The same thing. Like years ago, I would try sours and I'd get some heartburn. I would blame the sour on some heartburn. Never mind the fact that I had like 6 beers that time. And I'm like, oh, it was the sour that gave me this heartburn, rather than eating that chili dog and a whole bunch of beers.
Well, and that's my thing right now is I constantly keep trying sours because there's got to be something to them, right? So many people love them. Sometimes I think you just need to, I can't think of the word, you just need to like caress your taste buds with these beers and just try them and figure out what it is. I mean, that's the one thing that I do love, whether it's whiskey tasting, wine tasting, beer tasting. I love tasting all the flavors and how complex it is. And I really love pairing things and seeing how the flavor changes. If you eat a piece of steak with this, it's going to taste completely different than if you just had, pizza or whatever it is.
Right.
If that makes any sense. But I love trying things the most out of everything. And I would say, I mean, honestly, unless it's, just, I don't know.
It's funny. Like, so the other day, I heard something that was really cool. That was, normally when somebody's like, you go to a bar and they're like, well, what do you normally drink? And you're like, oh, I drink a Kill Lifter, or I drink like a Scottish or whatever they drink. And then you try to give them something that's like similar to that beer, instead of just letting them actually pick a beer. Or they actually give them other suggestions that they might like. Like, what did you like about that beer? Like, if you like, that was more malty or sweet, then you might also like this brown ale, or you might like this. Instead of giving them like a 1-for-1 kind of, idea, it's like, well, what did you like about it? And let's kind of expand on that and give you what you want, but at the same time, open your palate up more. Yeah. So that was really interesting.
I think it's really well said when you talked about caressing your taste buds.
Yeah.
It's really poetic, but the idea that you can just want to try some new things and being okay with the adventure of that taste. I mean, it's like I got 2 young boys who were here for the brew today. I got a 7 and 10-year-old, and it's like I'm talking with them and they're talking about foods. Kids want mac and cheese and chicken nuggets or whatever they want. And so you say, hey, you know what? Why don't you try 1 bite of everything on the table? What have you got to lose?
Yeah.
And it's funny trying to explain that to a kid. At the same time, it's like sometimes that logic is lost on us as adults, and it's like, hey, try this, you might like it.
Yeah.
There's like a little kid's book written like that. Try it, you'll like it. It was like 100 little kids, like radio, try it, you'll like it. Well, so, it's funny that you just do that, and if you just are willing to try an ounce or 2 of whatever is on the flight board, you never know what kind of world or what curtain you might peek behind and realize that there's a whole universe of creativity at your disposal should you just choose to want to know about it. Yeah. And I find that as soon as you open up yourself, just the mental choice of being like, I want to explore some more variety. Why not? Why not explore some more variety? Be open to that idea. Then all of a sudden, all of these preferences start to just mold and change and evolve. And what a fun adventure that is. It's like we have hardware in our brain, we have software, like our components, our senses, we have touch, we have taste, we have smell, we have all these other things, but we also have a sense of balance, and we have a sense of belonging, and we have, it's like we talk about the 5 senses.
There's way more than that.
I mean, we don't talk about
right. Well, on a different podcast we do.
Yeah. We don't have private time talking about the 5 senses.
What did you guys talk about today? That's what we talked about.
But it's funny that you just acknowledge some of those other things that matter, that influence a decision. People say, well, what's the best beer? Well, is that the best tasting beer? Is that the most appropriate beer? Is that the right one for the right weather, for the right condition, for the right environment? Is that what excites my friends? Do I show up with a 4-pack of something new to a group event, and it's fun because I have a story to share? All those other factors make it fun. And I think the whole thing, like for us here at the shop, like what we the through line that we're trying to go for is beer is fun. And it's like we take ourselves really seriously, and we work really hard with what we do. At the same time, we really value each other as friends and as colleagues and as professionals. It's our life's work. So there's an element of seriousness to what we do in terms of with the level, how hard we're willing to work. But at the same time, we do all of that, and with the mantra of we got to take care of each other, we got to take care of the beer, we got to have fun. And so if all those other things are true, there's a variety, there's a mountain of things we can overcome on the lower levels. But it's got to be fun. And I think the exploring new flavors, new varieties. That's why this project, I think, is just so cool, because we had to put our money where our mouth is, quite literally.
Yeah.
And but it forces us into a realm to challenge our senses, to challenge our creativity, to see if we can do it, and then we're pretty hopeful the beer is going to be fantastic. And then to share that yet again, we're just like, hey, are we having fun? And then if the answer is yes, then I think we're doing something right.
I would say yes at this point. Yes.
Yeah,
We're having fun.
I
I had fun today.
Yeah.
But I think that's the underrated aspect of doing like a flight, because usually when you pick the beers, you pick something that you're familiar with and something that you're gonna like. So if you like red ales or something that's malty, and you take that, hey, I'm gonna try some new stuff, and you drink that red ale before that IPA, it has the capability of kind of muting all those hops and that assault, and then the next time you're like, oh, hey, I like this. Yeah, you kind of dulled your palate a little bit because you put all that sweet malt in there first, or vice versa,
Right.
and then it kind of like mellowed out that IPA, and then you maybe build, and you're like, oh, what? I had this before. It's a little hoppier, and you just kind of build, and then all of a sudden you're drinking 100 IBUs.
Right. Also,
Triple milkshake IPAs.
yeah, exactly. I'm not a huge saison or a farmhouse kind of person, but it doesn't stop me from trying them. Right? Like I know that there's gonna be one out there I like, and so I'm gonna keep trying them, and we keep trying to challenge myself to drink them, and then. There are things at this point where if I just try them enough, there's other things where I can appreciate about the beer, even though I might not enjoy it a ton, or they're not that I hate them. It's just they're not my go-to. Like you can't say with your red, the red. But there's gonna be one that I try one day that I'm like super in love with. That it was like the best of that version. So they just keeps me going, right? I strive to find that one beer I want to try from that style. So
No, I agree, and I think in that quest, so to speak, to finding that beer of a particular style that you want to enjoy, you should also identify what quality in that beer resonates with you. Like, why do you like it, as opposed to the 90 thousands of other beers out there that you hate, saisons that you don't like. It's like, what is it about that one saison that I like so much?
Okay, nice. Next question. Should we move on? That's question.
Yeah.
That was,
Oh wow.
no. That was question 2.
The slowest rapid round.
Yeah.
So that was question 1.
Stagnant round.
What is your moped beer? What is your guilty pleasure beer? Like beer that you'd be kind of embarrassed to drink in front of your friends.
Do I have to go first? on this one?
No, we can go the other way. Cena,
Yeah.
do you know?
I don't think there's a beer that I would be embarrassed to drink.
Were you like you're at home and you're like at the barbecue and you're like, let's get
It's because she dates herself.
She dates herself.
She has no one else.
She's like,
to make
let's
fun of her.
let's get some
No,
Zimas.
no, I know, I know which one it
Okay,
is.
all right.
Okay, because
Some
it's
sort
a
of shandy.
horrible. Well,
There you go.
but it's a beer that you like that you're ashamed of,
I
right?
want other people to see you.
Yeah. You enjoy it, but you might feel a little
That
like
I enjoy.
yeah. So if
Like
if
you're putting it in a koozie or like pouring it in a glass and nobody knows what they can.
Well, okay, it's Michelob Ultra only because it has like no calories, so I can drink like as many as I want, and there's no guilt.
but you
But
enjoy
I
it.
don't, no, I
So
don't.
guilt-
I don't like it.
But you wouldn't bring a 6-pack today to like drink it in front of all of us. This is how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's no emotional, like, that's why I enjoy it.
Oh, that's fine.
Constantly watch my carbs.
Well, you're going to take yourself on a date next week, and you want to look great.
I know, and I'm gonna be like, hey.
Good job, Cena.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah.
That's such a good job, too.
Oh man.
That's such a good job.
Jordan, do you have one?
I would say, since I've moved down here, probably Bud Light. Like Bud Light, it's good. It's something that you could drink like if you wanted to like really drink a lot of beer, like if you're out like tailgating or like something of that nature with a bunch of people. Like that would probably be the one that I would do it.
It's not Bud Light Lime, so I guess that's at least good.
Well, I like both. I'm
no.
sorry. I'm sorry. I know
Nah,
it's not.
okay, dude.
It's not as good as a real lime, but
It's called moped beer for a reason. No judgment.
I still don't understand the moped beer thing. I totally don't remember what I said last time. So I'm gonna go with.
I think there was some story about Yuma, if that helps spur your memory at all. It was you were in Yuma, and we actually made fun of you for like being at a concert or something. I can't remember what it was. You were drinking beers.
I like concerts, and I'm totally cool with Yuma, especially Prison Hills down there.
Right.
You're in Yuma, and you want something to do. Get Mexican food at Chili Pepper.
All right.
Go to Prison Hills, get some cool beer.
Get their barley wine.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was delicious.
I don't
and
know.
strong beer.
If I had to go with my original, Coors.
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 I don't know, I'm not
The
really
banquet,
embarrassed. I'm not really
the
embarrassed.
banquet, or
Silver
the
bullets.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm embarrassed of any of those things, but hey, if there's a bucket of cool ones that are like the big brands or whatever,
Yeah.
and I gotta dive into the cool tub to get something, I'm gonna go for Coors.
All right.
Oh, at least you didn't
I
say
like how you
like
said that, too.
Bush Light or anything like
Keystone.
I know, listen, hey, when I was in high school, I drank me some Busch Light.
I didn't. It was more like, hey, I have $20. What's the most beer I can get for this amount of money?
Well, dude,
Yeah.
what's funny about that is like this is a real continuum of time in beer, and we were like there was today we have choices.
Oh, right.
I mean, when I was in high school, or I wasn't in high school. I was totally of age. I was 21.
21 in high school.
I mean,
Makes so much sense.
fourth year senior. That's fine.
Yeah, wait, listen. I'm vetting my crimes here.
Yeah, right.
There was no choices, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's a different day today when you have a choice, when you have other things going on, the scene's more developed, and there was nothing
Right.
else. And so and at that time, it didn't bum me out that there was nothing else, because I was making the best of whatever I was doing at the time. And I think that right now is still the same thing. So I wasn't embarrassed then. I'm not really embarrassed of any of those other things. But I think about like what I enjoy, what I love, what I blah, blah, blah. And so I go out of my way to do things that I enjoy more, which is like I'd rather drive an extra 30 minutes to go to my favorite local brew. Like if I'm in Tucson,
Right.
I'm going to go to Pueblo Vita, and I'm going to go out of my way to make sure I'm there to get a couple of 4-packs of whatever they got going.
It's a true story.
Because I enjoy coming home and having that beer in my fridge and sharing it with friends. And if I'm ever down there, that's just one of the spots I love to go and hit. And there's a lot of good ones.
Oh, yeah. Tucson's
Um,
getting really, really good down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tucson has an
Borderlands.
unbelievably cool scene, you know? And so like it's different now, you know, like I enjoy that, and that will evolve too. So I'm not embarrassed of Coors.
Well, I mean, it's like if you go,
But
it's like if you're
I
on,
don't have to take a position.
Right,
They're
right.
a pretty cool company all by themselves, and they're doing their own thing. I don't have to have an opinion.
you're on like Facebook groups and stuff, and you see these constant like, hey, I'm going to be in Phoenix. What places should I go? Or I'm going to like, Portland or wherever. And people are like, oh, you should try this place out. You should try this place out. And for the longest time when people were coming here, it was like, oh, you should go to Papago to go try their beers. And then of course, Four Peaks, because it was, the big dog on the block. And then at this point, and now it's like this just 75 people just saying like all these different breweries everybody
a
should go
long
to.
list.
It's a
Yeah.
huge long list compared to what it used to be. So like I said, it says a lot to where we were to where we are now. So lots more choices. Did I give you enough time, Christian, to
Yeah. So I was thinking about
jog the memory?
So I would say my guilty pleasure beer would be Rolling Rocks.
Oh, okay.
Because
Thinking of something a little bit.
I respect your
nuclear
opinion.
water. But so let me explain. So my dad and I have completely different tastes in beer. He prefers exclusively lagers and pilsners, and for the most part, when I open the fridge door and I don't have anything to drink, I look, and there's probably going to be a 6-pack of Rolling Rocks there. So
All right.
I'm not afraid to grab one every once in a while.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 33, right? 33.
All that light pollution.
Yeah.
So the next question is, what should one thing that never be in a beer?
Glitter.
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 Chris couldn't wait to get to this one.
Hey, blood. Is that one?
Never wanted in a beer.
Never want your blood in my beer.
My blood or your blood?
Nor tears, nor sweat.
Okay.
But I will allow blood of my enemies.
Well, there you go. All right.
Hey.
A dark sky.
We'll do a group discussion.
That was a very happy moment.
Yeah, everybody's
And since Jeff's not here, I'll do the obligatory my balls.
your balls. Also Jeff's. So, but
We should hug after that one too.
so the glitter thing, we saw that like during the day, like it was on social media, and it's evidently sweeping the nation as a new craze. Is that the
Don't say sweeping.
That's what it said. That's what it
They're
said.
setting it in stone right now.
Here, I'm gonna do this in air quotes for everybody on the live
the
video.
rudest
Sorry,
thing
guys.
you can do on radio is do air quotes because no one that's listening can see you.
I said air quotes as I did the air quotes.
Well-defined fingers.
Thank you. I do this all the time. My wife gets really upset. So, but it says it's sweeping the nation, and I don't know how that's a true thing because that sounds awful.
Literally nobody's heard of that.
Yeah, no one's heard of it ever. You go to the company's website, they have like 3 followers, and it's not huge. So I was like, this is just marketing. But you literally buy these things.
How much are they paying you to plug their product?
I'm not even say their. I'm not gonna say their name. I'm not even gonna say their name. I don't want to leak to them. But you literally throw these little like look like tapioca balls into your beer, and they just burst, and then all of a sudden you have glitter floating around in it.
So is it bad for you?
It says it's food grade. So
So it's got to be bad for you.
yeah,
Is
probably.
my pee gonna glitter?
Which way does it come out? What does it look like?
What if I poo? Am I gonna
guys.
have glitter poo?
Yeah.
The important question is, why are you looking for glitter?
Yeah.
And why is it coming up in
Give
your
my
social
feed.
media?
I don't know. It's all the crafts that I do. I don't know. It's crazy.
I'm linked to WebMD and
That's the worst thing ever.
related like kidney issues.
You're like, where does it? You just point.
Yeah.
The web- you just have cancer. Sorry.
No matter
This is-
what's happening, you're dying.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
glitter.
100% true. So anything else? Anybody else want to add to what shouldn't be a mirror besides those 2 things? Jordan, you got anything else?
No, glitter is pretty strong.
All right,
Yeah.
that's a strong one.
Glitter. What is the world coming to? Millennials. You know what I'm saying? Millennials.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We gotta blame millennials. I'm gonna use Chris's quote fingers. I just did it.
Air
You
quotes.
couldn't hear it.
You have to say
You
air
couldn't
quotes.
see
Though.
it.
You
I
have to
was
say
being
air quotes
super
as
rude.
you do it.
Yeah, I made a noise just for the benefit of everyone listening.
Yeah.
I
We're gonna-
kind of like quote fingers.
Quote fingers.
That's
Seven
a
air
Great
quotes.
name for a beer.
Yeah.
We are really good at naming beers on the show. I have no idea what
We
that's
did
all
that in the
about.
last episode
Yeah.
too. We named a ton of beers that will never be brewed.
Usually go back and write them down if we need to.
Kickflip.
That should be the
Hey,
name.
I'd like a
Quote
16-ounce
fingers, good
pour of
job,
quote
Tina.
fingers, please.
I need some more of the quote fingers. That's
quote fingers.
somebody. They have to do that when they order it, though.
Yeah.
If you don't order it that way, you just ignore it.
Oh, you mean quote fingers?
With the quotes.
You're like, I'm standing in front of you. You don't have to do the motion. I can see
All right,
you.
I'll go get your quote fingers.
You gotta do the meh, meh when you
Yeah,
the quote.
This is only relevant to the Instagram live people who are watching.
hopefully they're enjoying this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this.
There's totally a dichotomy of social media here. Playing favorites is not nice.
It'll be on YouTube later. Don't worry.
But don't worry, nobody's tweeting anymore, says Mrs. Jenner.
Snapchat's dead. Now they just dropped.
Oh yeah, I got rid of that app the other day.
Yeah, see, everybody's gone.
Deleted.
Yeah, Bureau. What is your favorite place to have a beer?
My favorite place to have a beer is anywhere I'm with my friends or after a long day's work.
Like today,
Exactly.
for some people, not a lot of us, but some people. David's really doing thought. Do we need to come back to you,
Yeah, get
or should I do like should I edit in the like Jeopardy
Yeah.
music?
No, hold on. Let me use my quote fingers.
There's no squips.
Come
There's no skips.
back to me.
There's no skips in Rapid Round according to Ed. Sorry.
Okay,
On the
so
spot.
favorite place to have a beer is my favorite one, and I mean this sincerely. It's at the end of a really, really hard day.
Mm-hmm.
They always taste
And
the
it's
best.
usually when my feet
anywhere.
are pounding because I've been on them on the concrete all darn day doing what we love, you know. And it's usually sitting on a, I don't know, pallet of grain. You make like a grain bag chair somewhere in the warehouse, and you can sit there and look at all the stainless steel in the room, and you know tomorrow is going to be just as hard as today, and your feet are pounding, and you're like, ugh, like my joints hurt because I'm so like exhausted from the day.
Right.
And when you get to that level of tired, doing something you love, like everyone goes to sleep every night. I mean, unless you have insomnia. Insomnia.
I think it's a real thing. I think you actually really have insomnia. I don't think it's an air quote.
This is an insomnia-friendly show. I mean, love it.
We like those guys.
No, but it's something about like the beer is good, but the whole equation works out good when you're like completely like run ragged doing something you wanted to do.
Right.
And so you can't escape being tired. That's not the point. The point is I am exhausted both physically and mentally by something that I chose and by something that I love and by something that when I'm rested, I can endure more. And I want nothing more than to go to sleep and feel good about it and wake up and do this shit all over again. Yeah. That's the best feeling I know how to feel. And when you can like cool out over a cool one, like with that view, for me, I mean, to other people, it's just going to be a factory. Like, I don't know, a couple of shiny things, a bunch of pallets.
But it's your factory though.
But it's my little...
Right.
Factory. I don't know that feeling. I don't think there's anything better than that feeling.
Right. Cool. Good luck.
Good luck.
That. Sorry, maybe we should have skipped you.
For me, like to kind of piggyback off like a hard day's work. Mine's not so much manual labor, but just like being able to come home. I lay on this love seat that's right in front of my TV, crack a beer, and just sit there and
enjoy
Yeah.
life.
It's great.
Nice. Please say Denny's. Just say like Denny's. Let's just go like the most like.
Yeah.
She likes
Do
to
they
take
even
herself
serve
out
alcohol
for
beer?
Yeah.
But I really have a favorite place.
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay. My favorite place is my pool.
Ooh. Oh, your brand new pool.
Yes. Well, even my old pool that was falling apart, like it just didn't matter. Eddie's beer fridge is 10 steps away.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it doesn't even matter because it's on the side room, so it's not even really in the house. So I don't even have to like towel off anything. I just keep going and grabbing cans. And Eddie gets home and he's like, "Oh, drunk wife in the pool." Yeah, it's great.
At least you're not face down in the pool. He fishes you out of the pool.
That's his favorite
But I
place
just
for you to drink
love
beer.
it. I love just like, and it's after a hard day's work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do a physical job anymore. I remembered a lot of physical jobs after today. I mean, most of my job is, it's in a desk, people bitching at me all day. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, fix it, fix it, fix it. It's nice to go home and just hang out with my dogs, grab beer from Eddie's fridge. It's always full.
Like, let's just drink your beer. It's Chicken Ed's beer.
I know, and he
I think
comes home and he's
all we've
like,
established is Ed has great taste in beer.
Yeah, we should drink all Ed's beer.
yeah. And then he usually says something snarky. "You shouldn't have drank that one. I was saving that one. That one was one of the Hoppy Craftsmen." Oh, well. Cheers.
Drinking Date's beer, huh? Excellent.
That's the tough part about having a partner that enjoys beer too, because you usually have to double up on everything you buy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll buy a 4-pack. Like, damn it, my wife's gonna want some. I guess I better get 2.
Oh darn.
That's when he gets a secret fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the lock on it.
This is how a lot of relationships end. You've had a secret fridge this whole time?
Right. So she finds it, figures out the combination, then puts her lock on it on top of your
Yeah.
lock. Good luck. All right, that's the end of my questions for Rapid Round. This is a mini Rapid Round, so thank you for.
I think you should change the name away from Rapid Round.
No, I like it because it's very ironic. Air quotes.
It's ironic.
Ironic.
So we're not doing the death row beer?
No, this is the mini Rapid Round, so it's smaller. Oh, do you want? You can answer that, Sina, if you'd like, because you are a listener to the show and you know all the Rapid Round questions at this point. I hope.
Because I've always wanted to tell you that my death row beer is actually a wine.
A barley wine?
Whoa.
No.
That's not a beer, though.
wine?
That's not a real
Yeah.
wheat wine.
I know. I wanted to go against the grain. Get it? Pun in the show.
Oh, jeez.
Quote fingers.
You have to make a beer called Air Quotes now. Please do that. The next beer we do. Yeah, write it down.
You can have another show about it.
That's so funny.
It needs to be air quotes. Good job, Sina.
Yeah, there you go.
Good job, Shane. Look for that on the bottom of the can, by the way.
So, what do you guys have coming up that besides the anniversary that's going on? It gets to be at Juicy Brews, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Looking forward to that.
pouring some beers out in Tucson.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
When is that again?
Let's see. It's
March 10th. Actually, I think it's next
it's
weekend.
March
It's next weekend.
Yep. So if you listen to this show, which is come out after that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys.
We hope you had fun.
Hope you saw us there. We'll be there. The shop will be
It was
there.
a really great experience, and I hope you guys invite us. Good job, Cena.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks for coming on the show and sitting down and having us drink some beers and talking. And
Dude, we love that you guys were
Yeah,
here.
this was cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, any
Thank
time.
you
So
so much. This was a really great day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great time.
if people want to follow you guys, the shop on social media, where should they go, or where should they go to get information more about your guys' beer?
The Shop Beer Co. is our handle on Insta, and same on Facebook.
Cool. And then it's the shop.beer.
The Shop dot Bezier.
It's great.
Beer, not Bezier.
Not Bezier. All right.
It's like a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, right.
Site we actually created. No,
I've already created it, don't worry.
The Shop dot Beer. Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody, you guys want to? Anybody follow you guys on social media? Ed?
Anybody follow you guys?
No. Does anybody, if anybody wants to follow you guys, where should they go? Do you guys want people to follow you on social media?
Oh, of course. My name's Saucy Cena. It's kind of fun.
On Instagram and Twitter?
On Instagram, I really don't look at my Twitter. I haven't gotten into the whole.
It's not
tweet
relevant
thing.
anymore.
No. And I just created a new. If anybody loves puppies, it's called Two Beagle Two Mutt. You can follow that one too. It's adorable. It's got all my dogs.
Wait, what was that again?
Two Beagle Two Mutt.
That is
Isn't it fun to
great
say?
job, Cena.
Perfect. Thank you.
Not quite as good as Saucy Cena. Really, it's just my last name followed by my first name, which is.
How traditional of you.
Oh, yeah. Guyman, Geiman.
Was it not jamming?
No.
Oh, I've been saying jamming the whole time. Nah, we haven't said
No. Guyman and then Jordan, Jordan, on Instagram.
Barley Legible on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
All right, and you have a blog as well.
Yes, and that is at craftbrew.blog. I got to change that. Maybe get Barley
Cool.
Legible.
A cool dot beer
Yeah,
one,
dot-
like the rest of us.
In the dart, in the dart, be in the dot beer club. So yeah, maybe we'll update that soon too. But
Excellent. Well, you can follow us on pretty much at Hoppy Craftsmen on every social media platform ever possible. We run all of them for some odd reason. And then hoppycraftsmen.beer. And then that's that. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. And
Thank you.
we'll drink local.
Good job, Cena.
And then the raddest people in the world, Jeff, are?
Raddest people in the world are Cena Gomez, San Diego Beer Talk Radio, Mark Ballesteros, Javier Gonzalez, and Phil Mitchell Wall. These are our Patreon supporters. You are the guys that, they give us contributions every month from, I don't know what the tiers are. They're
As little as $1 up to $5,000 if you want to get crazy.
which
It's
is
an insane
awesome
tier.
if you want to party with us. So to do that, you find us on www.patreon.com/Hoppy Craftsmen. We appreciate every cent you guys give us. Like Chris has said before, surprisingly, podcasts can be kind of expensive. So
cost money, it's
you know,
fair.
you guys contribute money, and we appreciate every cent you guys give us. So thank you very much.
Jeff and Chris are awesome. Support them.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, what
See?
she said.
See, Christina gets it.
They're not even
You guys
paying me
know.
for this.
God, come on.